Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Stephanie Chase and I today am bringing you a very special video. This is something that I have never done before because, something absolutely huge has happened in the wrestling world in the past few weeks. We have seen the Forbidden Door, as it's called, between AEW and New Japan open, with Kenta appearing on Dynamite. And I thought, in honor of this, that I would gather three people that I think make up three of the best wrestling minds that I know to open the Forbidden Door in their mind and help me put together the ultimate AEW versus New Japan Supercard. Yes, we are going to book the ultimate Supercard. But before we get into that, let me introduce you to who I have with me today. First up, from Post Wrestling and GRAPPL, it is the guy who made his name podcasting about British wrestling, then declared BritWres was dead, and is still podcasting about British wrestling. It's Benno. Hello, Benno. How are you?
Hey, Steph. Look, it does numbers still, yeah, happy to be here. Thank you for the high praise. I was looking behind me to see who was the expert that was in my corner of the screen, but apparently it's me. I'll take it. But yeah, we're not talking BritWres today, so I'm feeling positive. Talking two of my favorite things in the world, AEW and New Japan. So yeah, hyped to be on here and hyped to be here with you three guys.
Yeah, and what is your excitement level for this opening of the Forbidden Door, Benno?
Yeah, it's funny because I didn't believe it was going to happen because we did a preview show, didn't we, where we literally got asked the night Kenta came back. Your chat were going, "Oh, do you think Kenta might turn up on AEW tonight?" And we were dubious, but me especially, I was like, "No, there's no chance. Oh, it's just fantasy booking. It's not going to happen." And then two hours later, it happened. So yeah, I'm hyped.
I was really thinking it would happen, but then I got the fear of declaring it on a live stream, so I just had my bets and was like, maybe.
Yeah, you hedged, but yeah, turned out to be right. And yeah, I didn't, even when it happened, I was like, still, I think this is a solo thing. I think this is Moxley and Kenta and nothing else. And now, little bits of rumors here and there, of Dave Meltzer's report and such, which I'm sure we'll mention. Like it seems like there's going to be more coming. So yeah, I'm feeling really positive about it right now, especially going into the summer.
And also joining us, we have a man that watches more wrestling than anyone else I can think of, yet still manages to always have a huge smile on his face when he has to take control of Alex McCarthy on Wrestling Daily. From Wrestling Daily and Tru Heel Heat, it's SP3. How are you?
Hello, Steph. Hello, everyone on this esteemed panel. We are talking about the Forbidden Door, and my own mind, I've never been so happy to see a door open.
Yeah, because you really watch everything New Japan and everything AEW. So, but how, did you think this would happen, or how close did you think we were getting when that Moxley Kenta match for New Japan Strong was announced?
I knew something was going on because Moxley being gone immediately after Winter is Coming made me just be interested. Like, he's been gone for a month. There's a reason for all of this. I remember doing like review shows on AEW Dynamite, and I was just like, Moxley's been gone for a month. There's something to this. It's not just because he lost the title. We know Moxley's character. We know how he is. If he's not here right now, it's not because he's at home with Renee. It's probably because he's doing something with New Japan. So I was looking forward to it, and him being gone definitely made me be more intrigued by it.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, from Post Wrestling, a guy whose news posts on Post Wrestling are so extensive and well researched, you could call him the poster boy for wrestling news. And also from his own YouTube interview page, it's Andrew Thompson. How are you, Andrew?
Steph, Benno, SP3, what's going on, good people? Finally, my first time getting to meet SP3. Of course, I know Steph and Benno. It's good to have all of us here to talk about some good old wrestling. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I have opened a forbidden door, bringing all of together. Andrew, for someone who really dives into all the news that is happening in the world of wrestling, how big a news story do you think this AEW New Japan thing is? Do you think it's going to turn out to be one of the biggest things in wrestling that any of us have ever lived through?
That's pretty big right there. But I mean,
Yeah.
I think it could be something along those lines, and that may have something to do with the outside partnerships as well that have involved NWA. We've seen AAA get involved, and Impact is in it as well. So I think the big thing, the big dream fantasy that people can see is some type of super show happening along the line, like with all of those promotions coming together. But like just as far as the New Japan and AEW, I kind of like, you kind of start putting two and two together when I think Moxley made the cameo appearance at Wrestle Kingdom, I think it was, and he called out Kenta. And I think that was like one of the things where I was like, oh yeah, something's definitely happened now. I didn't think Kenta was going to end up showing on AEW. I thought they was going to keep that strictly on NJPW Strong, but here we are. And now it's like kind of what I'm thinking, like anything is possible from this point.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like, I just feel like we're living in such exciting times that anything is possible. Because I even thought when AEW did this partnership with Impact that meant anything was possible. Like, even though I'm not a huge Impact person, just the idea of them coming together was exciting enough. But then this is just kind of the ultimate dream. And it's taken a while to get here because, we all know that there wouldn't be an AEW if it wasn't for stuff that happened in New Japan with Chris Jericho going over to do a match, and then how big Kenny and the Bucks and Cody got over there. So it's taken a while, but it looks like we are finally here, and it's great and exciting. And I hope some of the stuff that we're going to talk about tonight actually ends up coming a reality. So what we are going to do is we will each read out our cards. So the number of matches that we've each picked, I said around 10. I'm being pretty loose with it just because when I started to try and do this myself, I ended up with 17. So I have dialed that back. But yeah, we're going for around 10. We are each going to read out our cards and maybe say a sentence or two about why we picked these matches. Then when that's done, we're all going to have a go at dissecting each other's cards, saying what we thought of them, telling, if someone has a rubbish card, which will probably be me, you all can just tell me. It's absolutely fine. And then we are going to put together what is the ultimate card of about 8 matches that would be on an AEW versus New Japan Super Show. I really do think that this is something that they should do at some point when there's no more COVID in the world or anything like that. Like a one-off huge show would be awesome. So I'm just going to read out the little bit of rules that I gave you all. So yeah, we can each have around 10 matches. It has to be an AEW roster member versus a New Japan roster member. It can be a singles match, tag team, 6-man tags are allowed, but just no battle royals, because I know you want to give everyone a payday, but it's lazy booking. It's lazy booking. So as far as Chris Jericho and John Moxley are concerned, they are both just counting as AEW people, and you are allowed to pair them with someone they've previously wrestled if that's what you want. And you don't have to put your card in order, but say what your pre-show match, opening match, and main event will be. First up, Andrew, let's hear your card.
Show never open weight 6-man tag team titles. Tomohiro Ishii, Yoshihashi, and Hiroki Goto defending against Alex Reynolds, John Silver, and Stu Grayson of the Dark Order. Kicking off the main card, we have Pac versus Hiromu Takahashi. Second up on the card, we have a 4-way Haas match. Powerhouse Haas versus Jeff Cobb versus Brian Cage versus Shingo Takagi. And the number 3 spot on the main card, we have El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori versus FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler. Number 4, we have the IWGP US Heavyweight title, Jon Moxley versus Kenta. Number 5, we have TNT title, Darby Allin defending against Show. Next up, we have the number 1 contenders match for the AEW and IWGP Heavyweight title. We have Hangman Page taking on Jay White. And I'm just trying to imagine like a hot crowd in that building with Hangman Page on fire. And then you got Jay White, who everybody hates, right? And then the main event, we have a three-way for the AEW and IWGP heavyweight titles. Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada versus Kota Ibushi. And that's going to headline the show. And here we go.
Benno, it's your task to follow that.
All right. Okay. For me then, I wanted to go for a bit of comedy for my pre-show. So I went with Orange Cassidy versus Yano. I thought that'd be a good pre-show match, I feel like. And then going through my actual card. So opening up a match that just personally I really want to see. Eddie Kingston versus Tomohiro Ishii. I feel like that would be a war. Yeah, two big lads who can slap some meat, so that's always going to work for me. Second up on the card, two wrestlers I really like, Darby Allin and Hiromu Takahashi. Then got something of a Dragon Gate reunion, Pac versus Shingo. I definitely wants to fit Shingo in on my card, wants to get him somewhere. Then got the Battle of the Flyers. I've got Rey Fenix and Will Ospreay. Ospreay's a little bit lower on my card than maybe I would have planned going in, but it's just where I felt he best fit. And next up, kind of get them both on the card kind of match, MJF and Tetsuya Naito. I'm a fan of both. I just couldn't really find anything else that fit either. But I could see that being a battle of like them trying to out-heel each other. You know, Naito in his t-shirt and MJF in his scarf. I feel like there could be some chemistry there. Next up, Steph, you're not going to like this one. Chris Jericho and Minoru Suzuki. And then getting to the top end of my cards, I've got Hangman Page and Kazuchika Okada. Page is higher on the card than I planned going in, but I thought that'd be a lot of fun. Could be a great showcase for Page. Cody Rhodes versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. And then top two matches on the card, Jon Moxley versus Jay White as my semi-main event. I think Jay White winding up Jon Moxley and then getting beaten up in a big match, I think would be good stuff. Imagine the promo battle. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And then my main event, I don't think it's going to be the last time it gets mentioned here. Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi. I think in real life, in fantasy booking, there's going to be like some combination of those two if it's AEW versus New Japan. So that's what I went with for my main event.
Okay, SP3, it's your turn.
So I got for my pre-show match, I like to start things off with a tag team match similar to Andrew, but I think like a standard old school tag team match, starting off slow, building up to the finish as people coming in, works good in the pre-show. So I got FTR versus FinJuice as my pre-show match. Now, as far as the main card, I like to start it off with a lot of energy, a lot of excitement. You got to get your high flyers in there. So I think the two perfect stables to put out there now would be the Empire with Will Ospreay, Jeff Cobb, and Great O'Khan versus Death Triangle of Pac, Phoenix, and Pentagon. And I think give them 15 minutes, they might steal the whole show from the beginning. This match is Eddie Kingston versus Minoru Suzuki. No disqualification. And they'll probably kill each other, and that's only the second match on the card. So I like how this card is balancing out. Now from there, you gotta have a more traditional singles match in my opinion. So like Benno, I also got Cody Rhodes versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. I think they just would mesh so well together. The way they pace their matches are very similar. And I just want to see Tatahashi hit 101 dragon screws on Cody Rhodes and Cody sell the knee as he's putting him in a figure four. There's a lot of sequences that you can already see from there. So to be different from my other 6-man, I had to mix it up with, other multi-man matches to put people on the card. So I went to the 6-man that, gonna beat people up, big hoss fight. So I got Team Taz of Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, and Powerhouse Hobbs versus Chaos of Tomohiro Ishii, Hiroki Goto, and Yoshihashi for the never open weight 6-man tag team titles. Then from there, I got another title match, double title match, AEW TNT Championship, as well as the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. I got Darby Allin versus Hiromu Takahashi. I just think those two are just insane. It's gonna be all over the place. I could already see Darby getting killed by the sunset powerbomb by Hiromu, and that's gonna be so much fun to watch. Now, I was similar on the thinking of putting MJF in there with Tetsuya Naito, but I wanted to put more people in there. So I got I stretch your rules a little bit, Steph. You said 6-man. So I thought that was loosely giving me leeway to have an 8-man tag. So I got the inner circle of Chris Jericho, MJF, Santana and Ortiz versus Los Ingobernables de Japón, Tetsuya Naito, Shingo Takagi, Sanada, and Bushi. And I just think those two stables just would work so well together. It'd be such a fun match. Plus, you got the history between Jericho and Naito, which will play into it. So I just think that that's going to be a hell of a 8-man tag. Now, similar, like I said, Benmo, you took a lot of wins out of my sails. So I also got Hangman Page versus Kazuchika Okada. I think Hangman Page just always stands out when he's in there with like some of the best workers in the world. And I think this might be one of his best matches. You give these guys 20 minutes, they'll tear it up. Number one contenders match I got next is Jon Moxley versus Switchblade Jay White. I just think that they versed each other in Moxley's first G1 climax, and it was a good match, but it could have been so much better. And I feel like a year and a half later, these two guys are so much better than they were 18 months ago. I think that this is the perfect babyface versus heel type of matchup on this card. Now, the semi-main event, you got AEW World Tag Team titles on the line and the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles. Young Bucks versus the GOD. I just think Gorillas of Destiny, I'm not always on board with them in ring because sometimes the antics overshadows their skills in the ring. But the one match I said that they absolutely was fantastic was them versus the Young Bucks in New Japan. And I think that with all the animosity, with all the Twitter beef going on, this would be even better now with the whole Forbidden Door opening. And then finally, the main event, I put a little twist on it, so it is different. Kenny Omega versus Kota Ibushi, AEW World Championship, IWGP Heavyweight Championship, Intercontinental Championship, AAA Mega Championship in a ladder match, all 4 belts above the ring. Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi.
Oh, wow. Okay, it's me next. For my opener, pre-show, I like to showcase young talent. So I have put Jungle Boy against Shota Umino on the pre-show. My next one, like, Benno, I was furious when you said that.
Benno got heat already.
And then I was double furious when SP3 said it.
Yeah, there you go. Great minds think alike, that's all it is.
I had spent a week thinking that I came up with the greatest match ever, only to find out that it was really obvious, clearly. So my opener is Darby Allin versus Hiromu. And I think that you both give some really great reasons for this match. Okay, my reason for this match is because Darby Allin, well, firstly, they're both great and they'll go absolutely crazy and it will be a classic match. But also you have Darby Allin, the black and white wearing goth boy, and Hiromu, the colorful punk. And the visual of it will be so cool. It's like, just aesthetically, they will go together so perfectly, and that match will be sponsored by Hot Topic. Then I paired Sami Guevara with Zack Saber Jr. I just think this would be really interesting. I think that their personalities would kind of mesh in a good way. They're both kind of different kinds of smarmy. And I think that Zach's kind of technical wrestling would work well with Sami's more high-fat flying stuff. Next, I paired Eddie Kingston with Minoru Suzuki, just because that would just be amazing. That would be a proper fight. Then MJF, I paired with Will Ospreay. I think that would be an interesting mix, and I think character-wise, MJF, I think Will is trying to maybe create a character similar to MJF that's not really coming over that great. So then I paired Cody with Okada. just because I think Cody is best in kind of matches that he can get emotion out of, and I think he would build a really good story with Okada. Jon Moxley I paired with Ishii because I just want to see them beat the hell out of each other. For Adam Page, I paired him with Tanahashi. I would want Hangman Page to get a really big match because he's just so awesome. And I feel like because Tana's like the veteran, there's just something good that Page could do with him with the character, that he's doing now. I think would work well with Tana, and I think that he could get a really good match out of Tana. So then I also paired Wardlow with Shingo because Hoss, big guy fight. I love to see that. I really like Wardlow, so I want to see him in a proper fight like that with a guy that can kind of match him. And then I've paired John Silver with Taichi because I just think that would be amazing. For some reason, out of all these matches, other than Darby and Hiromu, the one I've been thinking most about is John Silver and Taichi. Like, I want to see it. And then I've heard Jay White with Chris Jericho, of course, because that's this Steph Dream match.
Definitely Chase Invitational. I love it.
Yeah, it kind of is. This is just a pure what Stephanie wants to see match. For my main event, I did pick Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi because I just feel like it is match we're all building towards and what this whole thing is kind of leading to. That was my card. So we had some similar things in there, and then some very different ones, some kind of blow your mind ones. Let's first pick on Andrew and his card. For me, what really stood out was Hangman Page and Jay White, and I thought that was a really, really good pairing for Jay, actually. And when it came to me, I obviously went with what I most want to see for Jay. But I think if I was booking this for anyone other than myself, that might be the best match for Jay.
I think that's the purest babyface versus the purest heel that you could possibly do, isn't it, really?
Yeah. And like, so just speaking about the in-ring stuff, I feel like Jay, like we've all seen Jay, like he can turn it up, but like it's more just like, he keeps it like directly in the ring. I feel like if he was with Mox, they had to take it outside a little bit to keep the people invested. But I feel like with Hangman can kind of, I don't want to say steer the ship and kind of put it off as if Jay can't do that, but I feel like Hangman can take it somewhere on the athleticism level that Jay maybe that doesn't fit his character. I think is the best way to put it. And I feel like those two styles would just like boom.
They seem quite similar to like the very dissimilar wrestlers, but they also seem like they're in a similar place in life, if that makes sense. Yeah. I think Jay's been pushed to the top quicker than Hangman Page has, but I think they're kind of equivalents in each company.
Yeah, they are. And I can just imagine Jay try to be really like dickish with Hangman, and Hangman really just kind of like shrugging it off in his like cool, unaffected, let's just go to the bar way. That would just be so great, and the crowd would just get so behind him because Jay's so good at like, working up that crowd, and Hangman's I think they're actually a really perfect match.
I feel like the promos between them would be like really, really solid, and I feel like we haven't seen Hangman kind of been pushed to the edge yet. We've seen him like get close, but he hasn't really been like fully pushed off yet. And I feel like Jay could be the one to send him over the edge with the whole, I came into New Japan and I was in the IWGP Intercontinental title match right off the break, won the title, won that US heavyweight. And what did you do? You came in, you got your title shot and you fluked it. And then you haven't been on top since. And like that just set him off. And then that's when we get the hoorah babyface Hangman Page for the comeback.
And then, so you threw Okada in between the Golden Lovers. Could you find another place for Okada? I mean, that applied.
I could not find another place for Okada. I was thinking, but then at the same time, I was kind of like, it would be kind of cool to have him as that kind of middleman, because I think everybody wants to see Omega versus Ibushi, but at the same time, he has a lot of history with Omega, and then I think you could play off of what's going on with Omega and Ibushi. Like you could got to do both, factor in all three men, and I think that'd be something cool to see.
It's like he's playing the same role Cody did a couple of years ago, isn't he?
Yes.
Like when they did that, when they did the three-way, and you could do the singles match later on as well. See, Andrew's thinking of that future money. Andrew's not about just the one night, you know. There's more bags to be gotten.
Andrew's a very smart booker. He is. Yeah. He's probably thinking of more.
Rest of us just hot shot and stuff, you know.
He was like, "This is WrestleMania. Why not just put him in a stadium, put all the matches we want to see?" He's thinking long term.
Respected.
I like Darby versus Sho, because I feel like Sho is like one of the more underrated stars for New Japan, especially when it comes to like younger guys. He's like up there as far as I'm concerned, especially when it comes to in ring. And I think him and Darby Allin would be like an interesting mix of styles.
Yeah.
I feel like Sho would just be like, okay, I'm trying to knock your head off, and Darby would be like, let's do it.
Was there anyone, Andrew, that you had to leave out that you can believe you were leaving out?
See, I couldn't believe I was leaving the Young Bucks off the card, because I was like, I could pretty sure I could find some tag match for them to be in, but like it feels like most of the matches that we could have matched up, like we've already seen. Like you could do the mix of the Los Campeonatos de Japón. You could, but I mean, we probably seen that matchup so many times with Evilness or not, even though Evil isn't in that group anymore, but still we've seen that combination before. I think SP3 had a real good one with the Gorillas of Destiny and the Young Bucks, because just the tension that's there right now with the Bullet Club thing that's going on. I think that would be, I think it would be a lot of emotion in that match. And honestly, if that match would have happened like in front of a live crowd, I feel like the Young Bucks would be the heels. I feel like people would be rooting for God in that one. I don't know why.
Yeah, if I could fit a 12th match in, that would probably be my 12th match. But the honest to God thing is, I just don't want to see God wrestle, so I couldn't bring myself to do it.
That's the thing with New Japan. Like they don't, like the one criticism that I can always say is that they don't care about the tag teams, and they don't elevate any of the tag teams. Like God has gotten the most consistent push when it comes to tag teams, and really all they did was kind of fill the gap that Gallows and Anderson left in 2016.
It's quite the indictment of New Japan's tag division. When I was thinking, because I didn't use the Young Bucks and you didn't use Young Bucks, Benno, my first thought was obviously God, and then I had the same thought as Benno, like I don't want to see them wrestle. And then I think the only team I would want to see Young Bucks against would be Dangerous Tekkers, and then I didn't want to sacrifice 2 singles matches, so I ended up being like, okay, Young Bucks can take the bench on this one.
It's not AEW's fault that there's a lack of tag team matches on these cards, is it? Because I think you've got options on the AEW. There's more interest in AEW versus AEW tag matches than there are trying to draft in New Japan guys. To be honest, I didn't think of Dangerous Tekkers. Maybe I should have, but other than that, there's no depth there, is there, in New Japan? And I think I knew that already going into doing this exercise, but in doing it practically, it really stood out that there just weren't options.
Like one pre-show match that I was kind of thinking about, I was debating on, was like Top Flight versus like Clark Connors and like Yota Tsuji or somebody like just 2 young lions that I know it's gonna go hard, and then match them up with Top Flight, who's flying over the place, and like Power Dynamic versus you got Top Flight doing what they do. I feel like that would have been like a good little 10-minute, 9-minute sprint to start off the show.
Yeah,
I felt like I looked at Top Flight and Private Party and even the Acclaimed. I was thinking I'd love to have one of these guys on it, but then I was like, if I can't even think of a tag match for the Young Bucks, I have no luck with the tag teams lower down. It just feels like if you're gonna have a tag team match, it would be the Bucks. But it's the tag team division in New Japan is not great.
And that's the thing, is that realistically, if we're doing this in real life, and we'll probably come to it later when we try and put our supercard together, you've kind of got to have the Young Bucks on, because they're gonna be in real life. They're gonna be on this card somewhere.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's where.
Yeah.
Is Tanahashi on there? I didn't spot Tanahashi. I don't think.
Nah, I left Tanahashi off. I was trying to think of something, but then I was like, I didn't just want to throw him in there, like have him. Like I was trying to think of somebody that he could really be, mixed good with. But then I was like, I can't really, think of anybody right now.
I'll donate you on here because I was desperate to do it. How about this, Andrew, to add to your card? Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Sting, the Battle of the Legends. I considered that, and I didn't do it, and I wish I did.
Okay, so Benno, first things first, you just said you're going to donate a match to Andrew there. Tana Hashi versus Sting. So why the hell did you not have the balls to put that on your card? Because that is such a good idea. Because I was just thinking, I'm thinking about Sting, and if Sting goes to have more matches, obviously he's doing this thing with Darby at the minute, but I think that there's not that many like great matches that Sting can have, and the idea of him facing a Japanese legend is so cool and something you wouldn't have like expected. I think that Sting at some point should probably have a match with Jericho, because of the WCW history, and it's not something they've done. But like Tana, it's just a great, like a legend, a legend from another company, another country from to go with. So yeah, just firstly, like, why did you do that? Why did you not put that in?
I know. Think of like how well he'd take care of Sting as well. I know this powerbomb business, it'd just be dragging screws and lying around like selling his leg. Sting could be fine. He could absolutely work that match in his sleep. It was balanced. I took this too seriously. It was like, it left me with nothing for Cody, and then I'd move Cody into like, say, the Okada match, and then that'd leave me with nothing for Paige. And I think my biggest strength and weakness, I think, on my card, I think I'm quite proud of some of like the individual singles matches I've got, but it is just purely singles matches. We talked about the issue with the tag division. I think, SP3, you were saying that, I'd picked a couple of yours, but I'll be honest, when you did the Inner Circle versus LIJ match, I was like, that's what I should have done, because I was selling MJ. I was like, yeah, MJF and Naito, I don't even want to watch it. I don't even think it's a good match, but it's on my card. So I'm not a very good salesman. I think that's definitely an upgrade on where I had. But yeah, I think I went with I think mine was very much geared towards dream matches, I suppose, in my own head. Especially, I think I'm mostly proud of the first half of my card and my undercard, because they're the matches I really want to see. And then the top end, that was more about, making sure the big names are taken care of.
I did think MJF and Naito is a weird one. That I'm not usually excited by Naito matches anyway, but I maybe that's the one you should have swapped out for Sting. Like,
you want to know the thing about MJF and Naito? I do kind of find that kind of interesting though, because I feel like with MJF's character, like all we see is the brash heel, the guy who's always on the mic. But like I think we kind of forget, but like MJF can like really wrestle. Like he's like really good. Like he's like really really good at wrestling. But like we don't focus on that. Like I think about that match that he had with Jungle Boy in the days when crowds were still around. No, but it was one prior. I know he had one. What was that? Was that Double or Nothing, or was that All Out?
Yeah, Double or Nothing.
But they had one. I think they had one when the crowds was still around, and I remember like that. It was so good. But like I think we kind of forget that MJF can like legit, like he can go in the ring. And I think if him and Naito would have found some kind of balance as far as like, because you don't want to just have two guys just trying to heal it up all the time. But I feel like it would be like I feel like they would kind of like it would kind of lean more to Naito being the baby face a little bit, because I feel like MJF would kind of override Naito. But I think that would be like a real cool dynamic right there to see MJF and Naito. It's different.
Yeah, characters was kind of my thoughts on it, even if as a match it isn't one maybe I want to see hugely.
Well, you did steal my thunder with the Darby and Hiromu thing, and then SP3 picked it as well. Another thing that I think about these two is Darby is not the most talkative person, and Hiromu speaks in Japanese, and I don't speak Japanese, yet I can watch YouTube videos of him like on a loop and still totally enjoy them. I think that they're two people that are able to really well connect with the crowd without using many words. Obviously Hiromu, it does for the Japanese audience, but I think for the English speaking audience, there's such a connection with Hiromu, even though there is a language barrier, and Darby is just basically doesn't say much at all and yet has that connection. So I'm just so excited by the pairing of those two, and I know I went for it more of an aesthetic thing, and you guys went for other reasons, but I am glad that we all came to that. Well, three of us to that conclusion.
I can imagine them both in like, you know, Darby Allin's like skate park videos. I can imagine Hiromu being right there with him. You know, Tony Hawk's in the background and they're doing something stupid. Daryl's on a skateboard. It'd be awesome.
Do you remember all the videos Hiromu would make of cats calling Will Ospreay a cat?
Yes.
Yes.
Brilliant stuff.
Him doing stuff like that stuff.
I say Hiromu, like you can tell he's like very, very good at social media. Like I remember even that period, like when he was out with his broken neck. Like I remember he was like posting like the little vignettes on Twitter, like he was getting people real amped up. Like he's very social media savvy. So I think that would be like a cool little dynamic that they would have as far as like the back and forths on social media with the videos and, you know, Hiromu doing his thing.
I do like your decision to pair Ray Phoenix and Ospreay. I think that's I didn't use Phoenix and I regret that.
A lot of that comes from them two having a match in Wolverhampton, 2 hours drive from my house, and me not going. Like, and I think back now, like, what were you think? Like, especially now, especially after the year we've had, like, you think of those opportunities, like, why did I not go to that show? Yeah, that is kind of a thought. Like, I am proud. Like, but Eddie Kingston, Ishii, Darby Allin, Hiromu, like you said, Pac, Shingo, Phoenix, Ospreay. Feel like you need an intermission after that. Like, I'd need to lie down after watching those 4 matches in a row. That's probably why MJF Naito's in that spot right after it. But Phoenix and Ospreay, like, who's gonna follow them? Like, they'll just light, especially like the form like Phoenix is in right now. They light it on fire.
Benno got his Booker hat on. You always need that let me down match on the card. You always need one. Like, you can't just go straight through. You need that one match that people are gonna be like, all right, time to go to the bathroom. Time to get something to drink. Like, you need that one.
So I was gonna ask Steph, like, what do you make of Jericho Suzuki on my cards? Like, are you not in fear of Jericho's life with that one?
No, Jericho can handle anything. I do really like. Okay, I never would have thought of that. And we'll get to what comes to my card, but with me, like, it's like just the blinkers are on. It's Jericho Jay White, and that's all I can think about. Like, for a match, that's always gonna be my match. But if Jay was removed from the equation, like, I think him and Minoru Suzuki would actually be really, really good. I really do, especially if he puts on the Painmaker makeup and just, I think they'd have a really good match together. And I love Suzuki so much, and yeah, I'm excited about that. I really am, and yeah, I think they'd take care of each other. It would just be, you know, there'd be no like high flying spots or anything like that. They'd just be really beating the hell out of each other, and yeah, I think it'd be good. I really do. And Suzuki's got such personality as well, especially his facial expressions and everything. I think he'd be a pretty good like foil for Jericho and how he gets on. But it shocked me, but I liked it. Yeah, you know, it did. But I know you're like a huge Eddie Kingston fan. So with Kingston, is the decision between Suzuki and Ishii, and did you give him Ishii because you thought of this Jericho idea?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I was all about trying to get the balance. But when I heard both of you guys say that, Eddie Kingston Suzuki sounds great too.
So when I hear Eddie Kingston versus Ichi, the first thing I think of is Ishii in the ring, Eddie Kingston coming straight out the tunnel. Going right at Ishii, forearms, like no ring intro, like they like whoever's doing the ring intro is trying to get Eddie Kingston's intro out, and Eddie just take his chain or whatever he got, and it's go time. I was like, I can like literally see that. I hope that happened one day.
You can already see like Eddie to like chopping or striking Ishii, and Ishii just powering up, and Eddie's facial expression reacting to that. It just would be perfect, because you kind of saw that when he was versing Pac. And just have that with Ishii and the way he sells, it's just going to be amazing.
Big Tom.
Big
Tom.
You really elevated Paige by giving him Okada.
That was the thought, yeah. Because that's the thing. I think you do a card like this. Paige is someone who when AEW started, remember when he was in like the original title tournament?
Yeah.
It was just too much too soon. Like no one gave him a chance of being the first AEW champion, and it didn't happen. And I think that actually hurt him for a little while, and that they maybe overpushed him a bit. Whereas now it feels right. It feels like there's been a natural groundswell of support behind him. And you could get away with putting him in there with an Okada, and just imagine like the two of them in there together. Like Okada is, again, like there's a couple of parallels there, you know, like young Okada got thrust into, you know, the main event scene and he made it work, and you can see a little bit of Okada in Hangman Page as well. So yeah, that's just one person I'd like to see.
That's a real interesting point. Like hindsight being 2020, like seeing how Page's like trajectory and you know him kind of being up and down for a little bit of period of time, like. I mean, like, at the time, like, I mean, like in that moment, it did seem like the right decision to have him in there with Jericho. You had the young up and coming guy, and then you had the established vet. And I feel like the just even the storyline, like personalities just work really well. But like now that you say that, it's kind of like, damn, like maybe that did kind of throw Page off a little bit. I feel like when he got paired with Omega and they did the tag team, when I feel like that, you know, that took him up a little bit. Like, and I like think about the time at the match after the Revolution match when Page looked like he was setting up for the buckshot on Omega. I like to this day I think they should have just did it like right there. He should have just did it. Just pulled the trigger right there. Like I feel like, and while they were still tag champs, it would have been. I think it would have been something different for Page. And I don't even think the crowd would have booed him, to be honest with you.
Hangman Page, you're actually right. You're right, Benno. Like putting him in the championship matchup may have like been like off-putting to some people, and I think that kind of hurt his popularity at first, but they did the right thing. Like coming off of there, they used that to kind of create a whole new character for him, because in a lot of ways they were trying to like live off the character that he built up in Ring of Honor, or just having him as like the star on the rise type character without giving him an actual character to go along with it. And from there, like his promos, I was actually there at House of Glory when he like made a surprise appearance, and that was the first time he said cowboy shit for the first time. And that like that's the whole the whole catalyst for this whole character. So it's kind of fun how from there they created a whole character that they can build on, and he feels like the next top babyface for AEW now.
Yeah, I actually really like as a match the Jericho Hangman match. And the last time I watched it, which is only a couple of weeks ago, and I feel like looking at Hangman now, he's really, really come into his own. And I felt like on that match, he had all the necessary great babyface tools, but we just didn't know him well enough. And then there was the obviousness of Jericho winning. Like there was it just felt like there's no way Jericho's not winning that match, and some of the stuff that was said in commentary, I think it was just hard to get invested in Page the way that you should have been, as much as it felt like such a good idea to put like a lesser known guy to give him that spot against Jericho. At the same time, I don't think it really worked that well, but yeah, he's definitely coming to his own now. So Benno, you went with Omega Bushi. That you don't like seem like someone that usually makes very safe choices, but that is a safe choice.
Yeah, I mean it's one of the, sometimes you can't avoid it, can you? Like that's the like you said, that's the match. We all want to see again. That yeah, you would hope this whole storyline is heading towards. And I gave it some thought, you know, could I put Ibushi somewhere else? Could I do something else with Omega? But really, at the end of the day, they're each other's best opponents anyway. And for this idea, they're the best opponents as well, I think.
Okay, SP3. So you started off with FTR and Finjuice. Why did you give Finjuice the match against these technical, I don't want to call them boring men, but serious men, more polite?
I just really like Finjuice. I would say Dangerous Tekkers and Finjuice are the best tag teams, like traditional tag teams in New Japan. And I think Finjuice is just really underrated. Like Juice Robinson, from seeing him as CJ Parker in NXT to now, I think that there's not a lot of people in the wrestling business that have improved more as far as like on the mic, as far as in the ring, their whole character and presence more than Juice Robinson. And David Finlay has really like improved being next to Juice and learning from him. I think that we've seen that he's improved in the ring. And I think just their babyface style works so well with FTR. I think FTR is on quite a roll when it comes to TV matches. Regardless of how many minutes they get a concise, very well-paced tag team match.
So you put in here three, is it faction versus faction matches?
Mm-hmm.
Like more than anyone, even though like AEW, I guess you don't really think about it, but they're pretty faction heavy now too as well. But like not kind of, yeah, quite like New Japan. But I think that I really like the Inner Circle LIJ one. I think that's a good pairing because they're both kind of that cool heel faction as well. I think they'd work really well together. I think, yes, you definitely had a good way of getting a lot of people in the card by doing these faction versus faction matches. And Death Triangle and the Empire, that is interesting with Ospreay and Pac kind of leading like both those factions.
I'm of the thinking that, one of my favorite like multi-man ladder matches is the first ever Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 21. And you can't just have nothing but like great workers, high flyers in the ring. You kind of have to have that base. And, Jeff Cobb is a great base, but he can also do some high flying. So I think Great-O-Khan will play the Kane role in this 6-man tag. He's just the base there. And plus, I just think it would be great character work having Great-O-Khan do all of his to Pentagon just saying, I have zero fear of your nonsense. I just like that mix. I think that would play well. Yeah.
We talked about the tag team thing and Young Bucks and Guerrillas of Destiny. So for you, is this really just a storyline thing with the Bullet Club?
I mean, it's part that, and like you, a lot of you guys said, like you got to get the Young Bucks on this card. Somehow, some way, you got to get the Young Bucks on this card, and that's the matchup that would interest me the most, because I could have put him in there with ELP and Taiji Ishimori, and that's a new match, and it would have been probably a better match. But I think like the storyline behind the Young Bucks versus Guerrillas of Destiny was just that much better. And I if your rules, if I was like going to stretch your rules even further, I would have thrown the Good Brothers in there and make it a three-way for Bullet Club tag team supremacy. But I kept it to AEW versus New Japan, and that's why I got these two teams.
That if you threw the Good Brothers in there, that would be a very good match. And it wasn't in the rules, but I'm sure if this happens, a deal would be cut to put the Good Brothers on the show, since they're ex New Japan guys as well.
Right.
Absolutely. The ladder match idea with all the belts is really awesome. And it's funny because like Kenny and Kota is the obvious thing, and I was thinking just pure storyline, backstory, everything. Never occurred to me how many belts could possibly be on the line in this match. Like, that's crazy.
Because I was like, they both got 2 titles each. We don't know when this is going to happen. We can even throw in the Impact World title by that point. So, and just those 2 guys, like, anytime I think about those 2 guys going at it, I think about their match from DDT when Ibushi flew with the moonsault off like the top of the building onto Omega. And I was just like, what type of match could we get that would like top that spot? And I was like, a ladder match, like having Ibushi from like a 20-foot ladder do like a moonsault to Omega to the outside would just be insane. And we just know the creativity of Omega and Ibushi is just amazing and incredible. So with the ladder match, what they can do, what the type of match they can have, it's just going to be unique and innovative.
Yeah, I was thinking about like if Ibushi and Omega weren't champions right now, I think the obvious way to go would be them versus the Young Bucks, and they try to recreate that match that they had at Strong Style Evolved in 20. Dude, that was like one of the greatest tag matches I've ever. Like I put that up there like hand in hand with the with the FTR Gargano Ciampa match from Takeover Toronto. Like that's like those two are like literally like I can't even decide which one I think was better because those are like two of the best tag matches like I legit ever seen from this, like you could say this past 10 or 15 years.
Yeah,
100%. 100%. Like there was so much story and chemistry going on between both of those matches. And like the Golden Lovers versus Young Bucks, like I never could had a match where I could say you don't need to watch anything that's gone on in the storyline. You could just watch the match and get the story, get the feud completely. That's the match that I would show somebody.
I think like I feel like Kenny and Paige against Young Bucks was very like that as well. I think that they had a lot to live up to, but it was amazing how well Hangman Page was able to be inserted in like place of Kota Ibushi in a lot of this. It's crazy that they did like such a similar but different thing with him.
I'd have them both as like probably 5-star tag team matches, like, and you don't get many of those in the modern era. So that says everything. Unfortunately, and it's not your fault, SP3. The best equivalent we can come up with for a show like this involves Geod, which definitely is not going to be a 5-star match. But like we keep saying, what else could you do? Yeah.
And you chose to pair Jay with Moxley. Did you enjoy their previous match? Because that was the thing I was most excited about with Moxley coming to New Japan, was him taking on Jay.
I wasn't into it as much as I would be into it now. Like I thought in 2020, Jon Moxley was like the closest a mainstream wrestling American television show had gotten to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like the anti-hero who doesn't care, who's protected, who feels like the top baby face. He talks like the top baby face. He wrestles like the top baby face. That was Jon Moxley. And then Jay White, I said before Wrestle Kingdom 15 that he felt like Triple H in '99 to me, where the company keeps telling me he's the top heel, he's a top guy, but he just hasn't had that one match where I'm just like, okay, that's his Triple H versus Cactus Jack type of matchup where he's takes that next level, where we're no longer being told he's a main eventer. He feels like a main eventer. And I felt like that was that against Kota Ibushi at Wrestle Kingdom 15. So you put these two characters that feel so much different than they did 18 months ago in the same matchup. I just think that it would be a mix of like gritty, where it would be very snug and crisp, but at the same time, you know, Jay White, he can go outside with Jon Moxley. Like, of course, with Moxley, you're going to want some brawling. Jay White has shown that he can do a little bit of everything, but he comes in with a game plan ahead of time. And I think that Moxley would kind of try his best to kind of take away from that game plan. So it would be a great story as well between those two.
Yeah, absolutely. Any final thoughts on SB3's card?
Not really. I'm a big fan because, yeah, like I say, there's a lot of similarities to mine. So like the way you think, and yeah, I think there's a better use of the stables and getting people on the card than I did. So yeah, overall, I very much like that card.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing here. I'm into the Darby Allin Hiromu match. Like that, I think that's one everybody got. I think I was the oddball out. I just put Pac in Darby's place. I was the oddball out. So yeah. I hate to be that guy. I hope the chat don't grill me when they see this.
Okay, so let's most dissect my card that was very much geared towards the audience of me. Would you not watch a Jungle Boy Shota Umino pre-show match?
I would.
The first thing that kind of jumps out to me, love John Silver. Don't get me wrong. And I feel when you said the name John Silver, I was like, I didn't give proper consideration to the Dark Order. And that was the hard thing about this, isn't it? You know, we're limited to 8 to 10 matches or whatever. And I think the lower card guys do lose out. John Silver and Taichi, no, I'm just not having that. I'm just not. I like Taichi. He's not as bad as people pretend. He's a lot better than he used to be. But I don't know. I don't think that's a dream match.
See, with Silver and Taichi, like I feel like I could see that happening on some type of show, but it would be like very early in the
it's
show,
called
and it would be
AEW
like,
Dark. Sorry.
Oh my god.
that's your main event right there on Dark, man. Taichi versus John Silver. Like,
Poor Taichi, he gets no respect.
The main spat that I'm pretty sure everybody thinking, I can see John Silver coming up to Taichi and doing his little, Superman posing to Taichi ripping the pants, and then that's the high spat of the match right there. That it's just whatever from there.
I will stand by Taichi and John Silver forever. And John Silver, if anyone has earned a place on a big card in the past few months, is John Silver. Like, that guy has worked to become somebody in the company, I think.
I think that's what I like about your card, that you've made room for John Silver, you've made room for Jungle Boy. Like, these are people who, if let's be honest, if AEW was taking place in front of big crowds right now, how over would Jungle Boy be with that theme? How over would John Silver be just with the momentum coming from BTE? It's hard to tell, isn't it? In the I know it's not an empty arena, but you don't get the same level of heat, do you, in like the current situation? If we imagine these shows are taking place, in the summer when maybe we do have crowds back, then yeah, there's an argument for them as like over guys.
This show would have to be in front of a crowd for sure.
I think Eddie Kingston, Minoru Suzuki it's again, I went with Kingston Ishii, but I think that's the match. I think that's a really strong match in there. Moxley Ishii is another one where, yes, we've seen it before, but it was one of my matches of the year. It was in my top 10 matches of the year. I'd almost forgotten how good that thing was. I'd love to see that again in a setting like this too. So I definitely like those.
One thing about my card, I am the opposite of WWE, where I want all the young guys elevated. So I did use a lot of young guys. Like, that's kind of my philosophy. Like, yes, Jericho is favored, but then everyone else that I like, I like the young guys to be elevated. Like, that's, so I did put, like, I don't feel strongly about MJF and Will Ospreay, I'll be honest, but I wasn't going to do a show without MJF on it because he's a young, I could leave out an older guy, but not a young guy. So yeah, I wanted Jungle Boy, Darby, Sami on there, MJF, Adam Page, Wardlow. What about Wardlow, Shingo?
Yeah, not what I'd consider, but I think I'd enjoy that. I think Shingo would be a great opponent for Wardlow. Wardlow's still, you can see the potential, can't you, in Wardlow? Like, Shingo's one of the best wrestlers in the world. Wardlow's quite a way off that, but he's got potential to be something good. I could see Shingo pulling like a great hoss fight out of him there.
Yeah. And we kind of saw like what Shingo can do against like Jeff Cobb. I think that he can have a similar match with Wardlow, because Wardlow has that size and strength with that he could do some high flying, and he's athletic. So I think that Shingo versus Wardlow is a nice little never open weight championship type of fight that could surprise some things. It could steal this whole show. But me personally, I really am interested in Sammy Guevara and Zack Saber Jr. because, we've seen Sami play this, heel for so long. It's not many characters that you could think off the top of your head that he would be the baby face against. But Zack Saber Jr. is one of those guys, and they both have like the similar look to them, even though one's from the UK, one's the Spanish God. They kind of have a similar look to them, and I think their styles, Sami being more high flying to Zack Saber Jr. being the submission specialist, it would be a nice little mesh right there.
Yeah, I feel like the Sami Zack Saber Jr. match, I feel like that's a sleeper. I feel like that's one that people will see on the card and they'd be like, they might like glance at it, but then like once they actually see it, they'd be like, damn, that was all right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that with those two, there is like they don't look alike, but they kind of do, though they're completely different. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a hint of them in each other, and I put them together for all that is similar and all that is opposite about them. What are your thoughts on my personal dream match, Jericho versus White? No one wants to go.
I like it. I like it. I like it, Jet. I like it, Steph. I think that, you know, Jericho has kind of went through all of his dream matches in New Japan, but this is one where you could see him elevating
This is
someone
my
new.
dream match.
Well, I know. The Stephanie Chase Invitational Dream Match of Goats. That's the complete title of this matchup, and I just like the mix and the look of them too, because they do kind of look like a Jay White looks like a modern day Chris Jericho, especially with how Jericho dresses in New Japan with the leather jackets, with the black pants. That's kind of Switchblade's look. So they kind of would look like a father versus a son type of matchup. And for you, you know, baby goat versus daddy goat. So that works.
Yeah, it'd be worth it just for like the episode of like Wrestling Daily or AW Weekly that came after it with Stefan. I mean, I think that's, you've hit the nail on the head though. I think with Jericho, a lot of the big matches have been done.
Like Jay White and Jericho at Eastern time at 7 in the morning or 6 in the morning, I'm going to sleep. I'm telling you, I'm going to sleep. I'm going to sleep. Like I'm going to sleep. Like, but I feel like if you are going to do something with Jericho, it needs to be with somebody fast paced, bro. Like it needs to be a Osprey or somebody along those lines that just keeps the match a little light. Because I feel like him and Jay have very similar in ring styles at their, especially Jericho at his age now being 50. Like I feel like him and Jay are kind of like a little too similar, and I feel like it would kind of, you know, have his moments where it could kind of get very, very, very slow, and
But do you realize, Andrew, how thoroughly entertained I would be, even if they both just went outside the ring and paced around, starting things at each other for half an hour, and then finally got in the ring and did one move? Like, I'd be still completely entertained by that. I'd be entertained by them doing like just a live Talk is Jericho in their ring gear with a pin at the end. Jericho has gone through all his New Japan like big matches that he can have, and he seems to really want Ospreay. I honestly don't think Ospreay's there yet for that to be significant. And I don't think Ospreay would be there promo wise either. Like Ospreay might give a more entertaining match than Jay would with Chris, but I think that Jay is more there at the right spot to have a match of that size than Ospreay is. So let's make the card now.
This will be fun.
It's dream card.
So 8 matches. Okay, I'm gonna start with the obvious one. Okay, so I think we are all in agreement that it is Omega Ibushi as our main event. And I think this is really what AEW and New Japan, a relationship has always been like an end game match, really, hasn't it? I don't think you can you would not be able to build anything better than what has been built between these two over the past couple of years, and fan interest as well. The extra layer that SP3 added by bringing up all those titles means it is a definite main event match. It is the match that I think everyone wants, and I think it's a great crossover match between New Japan fans and the Japanese audience and the Western audience too. And my gosh, they could play that Omega documentary as well. Put that on Netflix if you want more people watching too. I think that's the way we have to go. So we all in agreement with our main event.
Totally.
Yes.
And I think the next match we have to put in, unless Andrew totally disagrees and freaks out and leaves, is Hiromu and Darby.
Yeah.
Nailed him.
Yeah.
I'm outnumbered.
He's won the chat back.
You are outnumbered. So where do we go next? I think like first I kind of want to address, is this going to be a card with no Young Bucks?
I feel like, although none of us feel really strongly about it, we've probably got to do God Young Bucks, haven't we? Like,
I
Do
think
we?
you know, saying that, we've only got so many matches.
I feel like
I like the idea of throwing in Gallows and Anderson, though. Actually, that made that more interesting. I know Luke Gallows is in it, but it did make me feel more interested in that as a match. He finds his way. He's always getting a payday, Luke Gallows.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know because
Bro, it just seems like everybody that we could possibly throw, like we've seen it. Like it's like everybody you could put them like who could you possibly throw in there from the New Japan roster or even the AEW roster that we haven't seen? We've seen FTR, we've seen Top Flight, we've seen Geod. I mean, have we? I'm pretty sure that's happened somewhere down the line or somewhere. But like, you could go back to the old days of Evil versus Sonata and the Young Bucks, like that. Even the Sonata versus Young Bucks, we've seen that countless times. Like it's like we've every possible match that you could think of. Like it's like the Young Bucks have done it, and I don't think that's a bad thing. They just, they're that great of a tag team and have established themselves to the point where people have wanted to see these things, and it's happened. So it's kind of a weird thing, but like this might be a card with no Young Bucks, man.
I think the Young Bucks not being on the card would be the biggest indictment of New Japan's treatment of tag teams. No, they literally, and if you think about it, in the 2 years they've been gone, they've only created one tag team, and that's Dangerous Sectors.
I used to, when I first started thinking about this, not to do the show, but just in my head, like months ago, when the Forbidden Door was shut, my thought was always, because of the New Japan tag scene, to be really WWE and put two random singles together. And I would have put Hiromu and Ospreay together to take on the Young Bucks. I think that match would be awesome and crazy. It makes no sense in the world booking or anything to put those two guys together. But in like some crazy land where, I don't know, like bring out Teddy Long or someone to make the match for no reason, I would put Hiromu and Ospreay together to do that. But so are we on the fence about Young Bucks, or are we a no?
I think it could go like in reserve. I think it's like
put them in reserve.
Maybe we revisit at the end. It's probably not going to make it, but
it's like for politeness.
Yeah.
In reserve.
So I'm pitching this match to y'all. The Hangman versus Jay White. I'm throwing that in there. What y'all think? What do you think?
Okay, I think that I'm gonna go for that because I really love Hangman a lot, and everyone knows I'm a big Jay White fan. The Jericho Jay White match is my dream match. It could very well happen, and I'm going to be very like real world about this and say that Jericho is someone with a New Japan can do whatever he wants type deal. So he probably has plenty of opportunities to make his way through the whole roster if he so desired, or if he had like someone like me just begging him to fight Jay White for no. But when you said the idea of Jay and Hangman Page, I really, really like that. So Andrew, I'm giving you a vote.
Yeah, I think it's pure babyface, pure heel. That's what I loved about that match, that it was on your card. So I think there's a strong argument for it.
I actually had this on my like tentative list, and then I actually had Moxley versus Okada, and then I switched those matches. So I'm more than happy with Page versus Switchblade.
I think if we're doing that, I think that means, as we just said, I think that means, because I think we've got to take care of the top guys. I think that means Okada Moxley. I didn't have it on my card, but I think that's the match.
Yeah.
Like that's the logical follow-up, maybe, unless someone can think of something else.
Nah, I agree. I think that's the one like really big dream match that Moxley hasn't done in New Japan, in my opinion, too.
So Steph, did you say we count Moxley as just an AEW guy, right? Not a New Japan guy?
Yeah.
Okay, no, because I was about to say if he was a New Japan guy, I was like, we could get the Young Bucks on the card. Like I could see something like Shota and Mox versus the Young Bucks.
Get the shooter on the card. Yeah, I like the way you think.
Hey, I wanted Shota on the card. What are you talking about? But Andrew, what do you think on Mox Okada?
Yeah, I'm in on Mox and Okada. Yeah, I feel like that's the best option for Mox right now. As far as who we got right now, him and Okada.
Thing is, I can't visualize it, but I'm okay with it. There's like something about Mox. I just can't see it happening, but it will be really great when it happens. But it's like maybe the way that like Mox and Kenny kind of are, like just like the grit of Mox, and Okada seems so like pristine, and it would be an interesting one, and I definitely watch it, and I'm all for putting it on the card.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong either. I think it's more a case of the kind of the top guys left. I mean, there's other big names, isn't there? But like, I'm looking up and down the list because I want to find a more interesting match for Moxley. I want to find a more interesting match for Okada. I'm not sure it's there.
Yeah, it's those two. Gotta be. Gotta be.
Okay. Do we want a 6-man situation? Like, did anyone feel strongly on any of the proposed 6-mans, mostly by SP3?
I feel very strongly about Death Triangle versus Empire. I just feel like at least 5 out of 6 of those guys is going to give us a great match. So I'm very big on that.
Don't be so mean about Pac.
But a pushback would be though, like I feel strong because I love that, but it takes Ospreay out of the equation. I want to see Ospreay Phoenix. I want to see a big Ospreay singles match on this card.
And I would say going back to Moxley real quick, I was like, could we do Mox and Kenta, like, and leave Okada for somebody?
Good point. What do you think of that?
Who would you be leaving Okada for?
That's the thing. Like,
Cody?
you could. I'm trying to envision like Cody and Okada, and I like
Blonde versus
that match happened in 2017 in California. That was the first big show for New Japan in the US in 2017.
And you're not wrong for not remembering it either.
Yeah, you're not.
This is the thing, isn't it? Like we said earlier on, Cody, like he's a tippy top New Japan AEW guy.
Right.
What's the dream match with Cody? Like it's not the type of wrestler he is it?
But it's like with Cody, you booking for the story.
You're
not booking for the match. You booking for the story. Like it's weird with him, man.
I feel like we need to like figure out Okada and Cody where their places would be, unless we left Cody off the card. And I can't see Cody standing for that, but we are in charge.
Yeah. I struggle with Cody, I really do.
Me too. What about Tanahashi?
I mean, after being called a coward on here, I feel like I can do that. I've got to pitch it, Sting and Tanahashi. Like I've got to get that back. I feel like I've got to make up for it and get that on the main card. I feel like that's the match.
Like I can't think of nothing else for Tanahashi to do. Like you might as well go the Sting route. It's just with Cody, man. Like his in-ring style, man, it's not like I think we're all right now thinking of like work rate, like stuff we would like be like very enthusiastically like into if we were watching this live. And the Cody is just not that dude. Like he's very storytelling-esque. Like that's his thing.
Oh, Tana, I mean, I'm not going to lose this battle to myself again. But I could see a story-based Cody Tanahashi match. I'm arguing with myself. That's literally what I'm doing. No, ignore me. Sting Tanahashi.
I am so down for Sting Tanahashi, like so much. And I do have this thing within me where I want to do better than what WWE did. And I think WWE gave Sting absolute shit. So the idea of bringing Sting to Japan to face the legend of a Japanese company is awesome to me.
So Benno, how about this for Cody, Tanahashi? What if Cody's a heel? Well, let's say we're talking 2018 Cody versus Tanahashi. Would that make it more appealing?
Yeah, there's money in that because Tanahashi can sell, can't he, then, and be like on the underneath of that match. Whereas I think the Sting match, you'd flip it around, it'd be Tanahashi working over Sting. Yeah, like I think the biggest argument is that if Cody wants a story match, and he'll need a story match, okay, yeah, let's do Sting Tanahashi. But I think that the follow-on question then becomes, what do we do with Cody? Because we're running out of options.
Yeah.
Why don't we just get Minoru Suzuki to pummel him and he can sell it?
Because I really want to see Eddie Kingston versus Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah. Yeah. We could go ahead and lock that in right now. Eddie, you go ahead and lock that in.
Eddie Kingston and Suzuki, yeah.
Okay, Kingston Suzuki is going on the card.
Just make that a shoot fight. Doesn't even need to be a work.
That's blood sport.
Are we keeping Okada Mox? Or are we moving it to the reserve?
I like Okada Moxley. I'll vote for it.
I think there's arguments against it, but I think on balance, yeah, it's probably the best route.
Okay, let's do that. So do we give Kenta to Cody?
There you go. That's something to do with Cody.
Something.
Yeah, that could work.
There we go.
Cody.
There we go. Look at us, man, figuring it out one day at a time. Look at that. Look at that.
This must be how Gedo and Tony can't do it.
We've got Kota and Kenny, Hiromu Darby, Paige White, Okada Moxley, Kingston Suzuki, Kenta Cody.
A decent card right there.
That is 6 matches.
So we got 2 more.
We got 2 more.
Yeah, we have 2 more, and we haven't used MJF, Jericho, lots of people. Osprey, Taichi. There's
Inner Circle versus LIJ.
Yeah, I was about to say like that. That to me makes so much sense. Like that feels real. That feels like a match they book.
Yeah, I can see that. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, I think that's a logical one. Like that, like out of all the card, I mean, besides I would say Omega and Ibushi, that probably feels like the most likely thing that will happen if this super show were to take place.
Okay, so we have 1 space left unless we decide like we have to go over. So, I mean, I must say
do we have a pre-show match?
I think I may have to like slightly edit and say, okay, we're gonna have 8 main card matches and a pre-show match, because all of these matches are big star matches, really. I think maybe we should get at least 1 or 2 like lesser stars on. We have a top heavy card, really.
We do.
All right, we do Peter Avalon versus Manabu Naganishi. That's gonna be.
I love it.
I'm not gonna bother pitching John Silver Taichi. I'm just gonna cry about that afterwards.
Sorry. You might know somebody who I think would be like a good person on this card, like for like a not even a let me down, but as far as Steph was saying, like not too much star power, but somebody would be interested in. I think Kojima would be a nice fit on the card. Like if you could find somebody from AEW for him to work, I think that'd be like real decent. Yeah. I'm trying to think of somebody from AEW who Kojima could be in there with, because Kojima could still go. Like that's great. He could still go. So I was thinking like somebody like I don't even think it needs to be somebody that could be like a high flyer. I think it could just be somebody that kind of works a similar style that he does, and they have a good match.
I think I want to see it, but I don't know if on an 8-match Supercard it makes my card. Don't get me wrong, they don't do enough with him. It's ridiculous. Like they treat him like he's a retired old man.
Right.
He's got so much more to give, hasn't he? Like he really, really should do more with
it. But that match he had with Osprey was
legit. It was great.
Yes.
So
We haven't done anything with Osprey actually. That's a point, isn't it? We
Yeah, I
got
was gonna say,
who's on the board: Osprey, Phoenix, Pac.
like
Death
we
Triangle versus Empire.
We used Ishii. We haven't used Ishii, have we?
we have not used Ishii.
We
So
haven't used Ichi.
there's like we haven't used Jungle Boy, Sami, Guevara, Cody,
Yeah, good shows.
Wardlow. I'm just reading from my own list, but then there's all the other people you mentioned: Wardlow, Silver, Zach, Ishii, Osprey, Shingo, Taichi. Like, yeah, we still have a lot of people we haven't used. I would love.
Maybe there's an argument for that Death Triangle tag. Then in that case, it is kind of like maybe it's realistic to do that.
Will we take the Cody Kenta off and do the 4-way Haas match? Like we get all 4 of them on there. That's just me. I would love to see that because I just feel like that was like the image of Hobbs, Cage, Shingo, and Jeff Cobb in 4 corners of the ring, and then the bell just rings. I feel like people would be on their feet immediately. As soon as the bell rings, I feel like people would get on their feet. That would be crazy.
I really like the Haas match idea. Yeah.
Could you plug Wardlow into that somehow to kind of get some youth on the card?
Because Shingo's in the inner circle LIJ match, so you could put Wardlow in Shingo's place.
And
it's crazy because Shingo has like a lot of. I think Stingo has some star power, man. Because if you take him out of that match is still attractive, but it's not as attractive as it would be if Shingo was in there. It's crazy, man.
Yeah,
that's true. And if we took Shingo out, it would be a load of American guys going after Jeff Cobb. Because he's in Japan.
Also an American guy.
Also American guy. This is why it's so hard.
That feels pre-show to me.
Yeah.
I feel like I do feel like we need a big men that hit hard match. With the shit.
You kind of got that with Suzuki versus Kingston.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So,
oh.
I think you kind of need that Death Triangle Empire because there's no real high flying type of matchup on this card too.
Yeah, I'm totally sold on that now. That makes so much sense. Plus, it gets. I mean, we can't have this card and not have Osprey, Phoenix, Pac.
Yeah.
They need to be in the mix.
I agree.
Death Triangle versus Empire it is. So we have Death Triangle, Empire, Inner Circle, LIJ, Kenta, Cody, Eddie, Suzuki, Okada, Mox, PH White, Darby, Hiromu, Kota, and Omega.
8.
Yeah. Do we want anything else? Like, do we want like a lesser known guy match, a pre-show match?
I think it makes sense to give, because it doesn't sit right with me. Ishii's not being used. Like, I'd love to get Ishii in there with a young AEW guy. I don't know who. Like, is there a good suggestion?
Can you imagine Ishii versus John Silver? Like legit. Like I feel like that would be like a low key like sleeper match. I feel like Ishii could get a lot out of John Silver, honestly.
I feel like that could be really fun. I'd either.
What about Jungle Boy?
Oh, Ishii and Jungle Boy.
Benno, you trying to hurt the young man?
Exactly.
That brings out like mothering instincts in me, where I'd be like, Jack, don't go near that man. Don't go near that.
I feel like Ishii would take Jungle Boy to like a level that Jungle Boy hasn't been to before in terms of physicality. I feel like Jungle Boy has been there like in terms of just like in ring work, but like I feel like Ishii would take him there, like he'll beat him up a little bit.
But does he need to go there right now?
True, yeah. He's just a young boy, isn't he? You know, he's so pretty.
Like I like Ishii John Silver. I like Ishii Wardlow.
Ishii is better as the smaller guy. That is one thing to say. Like, you think of him as a big guy, but he's not, is he? He's better when he's selling.
Yeah. Or like, is there anyone else you would give to a Jungle Boy from Japan? Or or Sami or any.
Is Sami in the inner circle tag?
Oh,
He's
Sami.
not, is he?
No, he's not.
No.
No.
You could do. I was about to say Master Wato, but I don't think nobody wants to see that.
Sami getting slapped around
Wato.
by Ishii could be good.
Sorry, Ishii.
Can you imagine Sammy selling one of Ishii's clotheslines? It's one of his lariats. Jesus, man.
Turning inside out, like
Inside
doing a
out.
whole like shooting star press off a clothesline. I could see Sammy versus Show. I think that would be an interesting mix right there.
No, I see. If it would be, I think a nice little pre-show match would probably be if Yo wasn't injured, you could do Show and Yo versus Top Flight. I feel like that'd be like a nice little pre-show match to get things started. Like we kind of forget about Yo because he had an ACL injury, right?
Yeah.
Blew his knee out. So yeah, we kind of forget about him. So
I'd be very willing to give Top Flight a booking on this.
Yeah, man.
In a pre-show capacity. Like, I don't know. I'm still on the line. My only thing is like, can you really not have the Young Bucks on, but have Top Flight? And that's no offense to Top Flight, because Top Flight are the future. But it is just funny to eliminate
Young Bucks versus Geod versus Top Flight versus Show and Yo. I mean, it's all world, you know. They can be healthy again, you know.
It's true.
that.
We are God in this case.
Okay, so what do you want for one more match?
I think it's between one of those ideas. I mean, we do still have we having one more. We having an opener and a pre-show. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Because we could give one of the young guys you just mentioned something in the pre-show, and then begrudgingly put God Young Bucks on the card. But I still feel dirty saying that.
I do feel like we're not doing this for the people, but like.
Spoken like a true booker.
Vince
McMahon likes this.
What the heck are these guys doing, leaving the Young Bucks off this show?
We're gonna put the Young Bucks on a go home show, man, and give them some, give them something good. Put them on the go home show.
My pitch would be Bucks Geod on the card, Ishii Wardlow on the pre-show, but I'm totally open to suggestion, like for you guys, like pre-show type matches. What have you guys got?
Like for the Young Bucks, man, like I just don't, I don't see it. Like if we had like I'm trying to think of like a team, like even if we would have like opened the Forbidden Door to WWE or something like that, like I feel like then it would be like, okay, you know, it would be something like, but just for New Japan, it's like,
no. I don't think we should then, because we really do seem like we don't really want a Young Bucks.
We really don't.
I got a suggestion here. It just came to me. You know, I like putting these multi-man matches together. So Cody and the Young Bucks versus Kenta and God.
There you go.
I like it.
You get everybody on the card.
There you go.
I really like that genius level. But
and does it that free up a match because Cody and Kenta?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
There you go.
That was some like Vince and Pat Patterson by the pool style. In there, that was wow. Okay,
there you go, Steph. Now you get your John Silver Tai Chi match. Here you go.
Exactly.
I was gonna say.
I feel like we're gonna have to do it at this point.
John Silver Tai Chi.
I mean, on Dark, obviously, but sorry.
What about Wardlow?
Oh yeah, what about Wardlow?
We could do Pac versus Show.
Pac's in the.
Pac's in the.
Pac's in the triangle. Okay.
The triangle one.
Sammy's ZSJ.
That's a good one.
That is a good
one. I don't
one.
mind that. Yeah.
Get that very certain audience in to watch that one. Yeah.
Yep.
There's money in that. Look, we make money at the end of the day. We got to sell some pay-per-views. So.
Oh, we're definitely selling beer. Who's selling beer, you guys? I mean, we'll sell so much on Kenny Kota alone that we could just fuck around.
Sure. I like him.
Will I go with Zach Sami unless anyone has a strong feeling? Andrew, you look like you're wondering.
No, I like Zach Sami. I was just thinking about I can really see that happening like in real life. So I was just thinking about that.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm fine with that.
And bonus question: who would be your commentary team? I would like Excalibur and Kevin Kelly, and then Tony Schiavone as like the cuddly figure. You know what I mean? Like just
because
nice.
Because it's weird, the AEW commentary, isn't it? Like, who does the play-by-play? Is it Excalibur? Is it Jim Ross? It's kind of Jim Ross, and then Excalibur picks up for him when he messes things up. Whereas you could just slot Kevin Kelly into that Jim Ross role, when he could carry the booth, I think.
So yeah, commentary. I would like to see Kevin Kelly. I think Excalibur was so good. I think he proved that doing the Japanese side of the women's tournament by himself, and him and Kevin would definitely have read up and everything. But I do like his little buffer.
Yeah, I'd make a shout for Taz because I love Taz. But I think Shivani maybe just pips him. I think it's seniority, isn't it? I think realistically, I don't think Taz is getting that job.
I about to say, I feel like you kind of need like a little bit of comedy balance there. You need somebody like just somebody that's a little bit funny, because I feel like Kevin Kelly and Excalibur, like while they would be a great pair, they're like a little too they just too serious sometimes. But like it's great within the context of what we're talking about. Just I think they would fit great. But I feel like you need just that one person on the side who's kind of like just like a little bit funny. That's why I was thinking like maybe Don Callis maybe on the side with them. But I feel like Tony Schiavone is a good shout.
Bring Callis out for the main event, can't you? Like 100%. You get him out there for that match.
That's true.
Okay, so we've done it. We've built an 8-match card that will open with Sami Guevara versus Zack Sabre Jr. That's on the pre-show. Then our opening match, Hiromu Takahashi versus Darby Allin. And then we have the Death Triangle, Pac, Pentagon, Ray Phoenix versus the Empire, Will Ospreay, Jeff Cobb, and the Great Okan. Then we have Eddie Kingston versus Minoru Suzuki.
Oh, yeah.
And another multi-man match, the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho, MJF, Santana, and Ortiz versus LIJ, Naito, Shingo Takagi, Sonata, and Bushi. Then we have Jay White versus Adam Page, Okada versus John Moxley, and Geod teaming with Kenta to take on Cody and the Young Bucks. And the main event, Kota Ibushi versus Kenny Omega. Wow.
Sound like a good day at the matches.
Yes.
Sound like a good
We did good. That is one hell of a card. Really, really good. And I think
we putting asses in seats, man. We putting asses in seats. That's what we doing.
And I feel like now the match I'm most excited for is Adam Page and Jay White, which is one that wasn't even on my list.
Dude, I feel like that match in front of a high crowd, I feel like that would be something. I feel like they would make that match, to be honest with you, more so even than the in-ring action. I feel like the crowd would make that.
I think for me, like I was going to pick like a probable match of the night. I think it's Darby Allin Hiromu, like a being. I mean, okay, if we're not saying Kenny and Kota, because we know they'll kill it. Eddie Kingston, Minoru Suzuki, that's the one I'm looking forward to on this. And again, that wasn't on mine. I had Eddie and Ishii instead, but I would kill it. That would be a great match. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, we definitely have enough ideas to do a part 2 of this show ever becomes reality.
True. There you go. Lay some seeds, you know. Some of the multi-mans can split up into singles.
Well, if you have any any ideas, please put them in the comments. Tell us what you thought of our cards, whose card was the best, what matches you'd be most excited to see. If you are Tony Khan, feel free to just copy everything we've done here and create the show. As long as you put us on the guest list, we're totally happy with you taking our ideas for this amazing card when it finally does happen. But yeah, that's been really great work, guys. We did it. We booked it. And all we need now is to manifest it for it to come true.
At Tony Khan.
Yeah. At Gedo. Stop with that evil Sonata nonsense. This is the real booking. Pay attention to us. Listen, we can blow the invasion out of the water here. Like, compare our cards to 2001 invasion. I think we've killed that.
All Gedo and Tony Khan need to do is just write down what they each want, like we did, and just hash it out over a video chat like this. And they will come to an agreement. They will. Just like state where they want each match, and they will get there in the end. They will. I have faith. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. Andrew, now that you let everyone know where they can find you.
You can follow me on Twitter at AD Thompson __ and check out the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel and my written work over at the Post Wrestling site. Yeah,
absolutely. If you need your news, go to Andrew's at the Post. It's the most extensive of anyone. Benno,
totally.
You find your controversial internet prisoner.
See, I'm a nice guy, really. When there's nice things to talk about. Same for me, postwrestling.com for the British Wrestling Experience, which is a British wrestling podcast. And also, as you mentioned, for GRAPPL, it's grapple.podbean.com, where we've just launched a Patreon. And every week, Monday, we talk absolute nonsense. And you can check that out if that's your kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And SP3, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Tru Heel SP3. That's TRU for True. You can also find my daily content on my YouTube channel, Tru Heel Heat, as well as every single Wednesday with Alex McCarthy on Wrestling Daily, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. BST. And my written work is over at Sportskeeda Wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And you can find me with Alex McCarthy on a Thursday night talking AEW and NXT. And if you like this video, please share it and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. But thank you all once again. It was so much fun, and I hope you all enjoyed watching. And please give us your thoughts.